From the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight.
Broncos Country Tonight, breaking down day one of training camp. It is here, the 2022 NFL season. The Broncos out there, Russell Wilson, the crowd. It was so much fun. And today, you got our first look at what Nathaniel Hackett's vision of training camp is going to be. So I thought that was kind of a fun way and a little bit of a juxtaposition. You and I did some segments for KOA, our radio show, and we did some full fun stuff out there. But Nathaniel Hackett, the energy is the first thing that jumps out. Also noticed no skeleton out there, no 7-on-7, didn't do a lot of one-on-ones. Otherwise, it was a fun thing. And you heard from Nathaniel Hackett also, they practiced red zone because they wanted to kind of help the conditioning of these guys, get these guys into shape, not having to run the full length of the field. I thought overall very calculated, fun practice. Yeah, I thought so too. I thought a lot of situational football over, as you talked about, skeleton or positional drills, which I think is inherently more valuable. So I was impressed with that. It did feel the pace wasn't quite as crisp as maybe the Garrett Kubiak or Vic Fangio practices. Certainly more organized than the Vance Joseph practices. But it felt like guys were having fun for sure. It definitely felt like that. And as we talked to Quinn Meinerz after practice, didn't seem particularly gassed. Didn't seem particularly out of breath. It was a day where they weren't wearing pads all the way, so it wasn't popping out there. But you could feel the emphasis on competition that Hackett has out there. You could feel the emphasis on fun. The music was playing. It was just more of kind of a fun practice atmosphere, I think. But I enjoyed the fact that it was a lot of situational football rather than positional drills. I really do feel that's inherently more valuable. Yeah, we talked about that. Even in this red zone, you had the 3 downs to get into the red zone. You were starting at the 12-yard line. First team, second team, even some opportunities there for Brett Rippon and the third team. And then they just sort of alternated sides of the field there. I even liked, by the way, at the end of practice, and this was very intentional, Nathaniel Hackett, because the guys that get a lot of playing time during preseason, they got some extra reps in some team scenario stuff. Mm-hmm. So they basically, it's a little bit like the leftovers of practice. All these starters went out and signed autographs, and the second and third team guys, they went out and did some more practicing just to make sure they got some extra reps. I thought that was kind of a cool touch too. Yeah, I thought so, and I thought that it was nice to see guys put a little extra in afterwards. Some of the guys, Melvin Gordon was out there running some laps, doing some conditioning. Yep. Him and I believe it was Ronald Darby running, getting some laps. Devontae was in there too for a bit, getting some stuff in there. Yeah, it's just everybody's kind of doing what they feel like they need to do to get their game where they need to get it, and this is in addition to trying to get an offense and a defense together and team cohesion, it's also a competition for jobs and roster spots. And so I think these guys naturally know they need to push themselves. They're going to lose those jobs to other people, and it was good to see kind of some of that stuff going on. The special teams work, they did enough, but I didn't feel like it was overindulgent on special teams. Right. I felt that with previous regimes 100%, in their practices. 100%. And in the practicing the wrong things. Yep. Like you were out there, they getting the returns in, getting guys in the lanes, making sure they stayed in the lanes, those kinds of things. There wasn't a lot of, there wasn't an hour spent on, just the other areas of special teams that I feel like you only need a few reps to kind of keep it tight. That's a great observation. That was one of the things. And then, standout players. I thought I thought PJ Locke stood out today. I thought Jonas Griffith stood out today. I thought the rookie returner playing on offense, Montrell. Yeah, he had a mistake in the red zone that he turned around and made up for it very next opportunity. I thought he looked pretty good. I thought the offensive line play was good for what it was, despite the fact he didn't have pads. On. I thought the edge rush was doing pretty good, specifically Bradley Chubb. So I thought there were good things to take away. I give the win to the defense today, but that shouldn't be concerning. The offense, a new quarterback, new head coach, new offense, they're getting it together. You're just blowing through the whole I was trying to do big picture. I'm just into narrow and word vomit it all out there. You just literally. Well, I guess we're done here, so we've covered everything. There's nothing really for me to respond to any of that. Well, okay, so yes, great observation. First of all, I wanted to respond. The special teams thing, that was an observation I had too. I didn't really think about it until you said something. Special teams in the past was used as the break period for the starters, right. The break period for offense and defense, getting the guys that are battling for roster spots, opportunities, and they'd run special teams to death. Mm-hmm. This case, yeah, it seemed subtle enough
that, in fact, we were recording segments for KOA, and we were like, oh, it's special teams. We'll take a couple of minutes here, get a breather, get something to drink. And they were right back into red zone work. We're like, holy cow, we should.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to get back around as fast. So that's just an adjustment we've got to make on our end. So.
All right, so now dialing in a little more specific, Benjamin, thank you for telling me your standout players. What did you think about the offense today? You said it was a win for the defense. The offense, it seemed like there were some errant throws. Some of the red zone work, again, it's compressed, so you can understand that a little bit. The timing will come along. Defense, I thought, won first half of practice. I give the offense the second half, so for me, it's a tie. Why are you so, I say down on the offense. I don't think that's the case, but why did you think it was the defense?
No, I just think the defense did better. They generated turnovers. They got, they got everything they needed done. The only times where they really let up, there was a busted coverage on a passing touchdown, and then, they let a couple of runners get into the end zone in short yardage red zone work, but you couldn't really tackle it. You couldn't do anything because you're not in pads anyway. So those were just going to happen. So I don't, I think overall it just felt like the tilt was to the defense. The defense was out there. I think they felt sharper to me. There were some hits and some misses with the offense. Russ wildly overthrew Cortland in the end zone.
But the fade route never worked. So
they wouldn't even a fade. I mean, it was just him coming across right to left, and he just overthrew him. So. There was the fade that you're talking about. That's not what I was referring to.
You're talking about the Jerry Jeudy. Split the difference.
Right. And he just threw the ball up there. So I just didn't feel like the offense was as sharp as the defense. That doesn't mean the offense won't get there. I have full faith and confidence they will. I know everybody freaked out as soon as I tweeted about it, but it'll get there. It's one day in practice with no pads. Like we need to start looking at these things in chunks and not as individual practices. I think we got so conditioned to the Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater battle that we start to hyper scrutinize each individual practice, and it needs to be looked at as a broad set of practices. What happened over this 5 days? What happened over this next 5 days? How are we looking? Who's trending up? Who's trending? Those kinds of things. And if we can readjust our thinking to that, I think we get a better picture of what's going on.
Ben Allbright, the alarmist. It sounds.
Yeah, right. The sky is falling. I'm definitely a hot take webinar guy. That's me.
On the subject of, you said something there that I kind of wanted to ping off of, but a couple of things there for the offense. I thought Eric Salbert, who caught a couple of touchdown passes, one was wide open, but it was as a result of great play from Russell Wilson, who I think the defense thought he was sort of dead to rights on a sort of a half boot that was Malik Reed came screaming down on him. Another acknowledgement of Russell Wilson's got those nifty feet in the back. He can do a lot of different things, including take off and run. But in this case, just sort of did a little shimmy, got there to Eric Salbert. And then he hit sort of a screamer there to the goal line in red zone on the other side of the field. Eric Salbert had a good day. Greg Dulcich is not available early on. He's still working back from that hamstring injury. I think maybe when we did our 53-man roster breakdown on Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show, maybe we did discount the fact that Eric Salbert has some experience receiving.
Yeah, I put him on the practice squad. I'd probably flop that now. I haven't seen where this was at with Tomlinson and him. I think that, Dulcich, if he's out an extended period, that probably puts Salbert in the driver's seat as tight end too, and going from there. So, that may have been when we discounted. And then the return man, Trey Quinn, is another one everybody discounted. I think he's probably the guy hanging on to the very end of that wide receiver room. I don't think, I think Fulgham and them, I think those guys are really going to have to show out because, you need a second returner. And right now the returner pecking order is Montrell Washington, Trey Quinn, and Caden Davis. And I'm not sure Caden Davis is making this roster either.
Yeah, it was definitely that a lot of guys in the first day that were depth guys didn't really get a huge chance to make big momentum swings. You mentioned PJ Locke had a play in the back of the end zone, but you and I kind of have him in there as our fourth or fifth safety anyways. So that's a little bit of an interesting thing. I think one thing also I want to just shout out here, we were talking about cornerbacks and the 53. Little tip of the cap to you. Bless Austin is right now he is the sixth cornerback. Not stacking them in order. I'm saying he's based on where he's playing. When you take your top six guys, he's in there. Michael Ojemudia, Isang Bassi are playing on the second team along with Bless Austin. So for me, I wanted to see that because we thought Damari Mathis, who got a lot of second team and third team work during the OTAs, we thought maybe Damari Mathis would be that guy. But I think there's some battling there, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's still going to be some stuff coming up in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I would say that he's CB5 or 4 right now, and we'll see where it all shakes out and ends up. But Bassi might be in trouble. This is a guy that's going to have to come in and reprove himself in this new scheme, new system, new setup, because you get the rookie Mathis nipping right at your heels.
All right. Those are our thoughts from day one of Broncos training camp. Make sure you check out Broncos Country Tonight, the radio show, from 6 to 9 p.m. on KOA or at broncoscountrytonight.com. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
Denver's going to win it. You can stand up and salute in Denver, and you got the world champions that live in your town.